The 1920s was the time of celebration, new inventions, new technology, new fashions, and new records. Some of the most famous characters of the 1920s include Charlie Chaplin, Charles Lindbergh, Amelia Earhart, and Babe Ruth. The life of Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin was born into a poor London family of music hall entertainers. Even as a child, he found success as a performer, making his stage debut in 1894. He played a paper boy in Sherlock Holmes, which ran from 1903 to 1906, after which he worked as a mime in vaudeville theaters until he left London for America. By the early 1920s, Chaplin was making his own films with actors Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks. Having control over his own film led to classics such as The Kid, The Gold Rush, and The Great Dictator. These films made him the most popular and successful film star of his time. When sound films appeared, Charlie's natural terrain of silent film was eclipsed by the novelty and realism of this new technology. This made him even more renowned both in America and England. The life of Charles Lindbergh. Charles Lindbergh grew up on a farm in Minnesota. During his childhood, Lindbergh showed exceptional mechanical ability. At the age of 18 years, he entered the University of Wisconsin to study engineering. However, Lindbergh was more interested in the exciting field of aviation than he was in school. After 2 years, he left school to become a barnstormer. He was a pilot who performed daredevil stunts at fairs. In 1925, Lindbergh enlisted in the United States Army so he could be trained as an Air Service Reserve pilot. He is famous for making the first solo nonstop flight across the Atlantic Ocean on May 20th to May 21st in 1927. The life of Amelia Earhart. Amelia first learned that she rather enjoyed heights when she was 7 at the St. Louis World's Fair riding the Ferris wheel. She also quickly learned to build and make things with her own hands. Starting in the year 1916, during her 3 semesters at a women's college, Amelia played field hockey, studied Shakespeare and Latin, and attended concerts of the Philadelphia Symphony. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, Amelia was drawn in and served as a nurse. Amelia Earhart took her first ride in an airplane in 1920. She was not a naturally gifted pilot, but she persevered, built up her flying time, and even broke the woman's altitude record in 1922. She became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic on June 18th through June 19th in 1928. She was also the second person to fly solo across the Atlantic in 1932 and the first person to fly solo from Hawaii to California in 1935. The life of Babe Ruth. As a child, George Ruth spent much of his time on his own and got in trouble frequently. Unable to control their son's behavior, Ruth's parents placed him in St. Mary's Industrial School at the age of 7. Ruth hated the regimented discipline of the school, but learned the game of baseball. By the age of 15, he was both catcher and pitcher for St. Mary's varsity team. Ruth spent only 5 months with his first professional team before he was sold to the Red Sox. In his first World Series, Babe Ruth pitched 29 2/3 scoreless innings, breaking a record that would stand for 43 years. The Red Sox won the World Series that year and again in 1918. After several spectacular years, Ruth started having health problems in 1925. Some people began to suggest that Babe was past his prime, but Ruth returned to form in 1926, and in 1927 he set a single-season home run record of 60. George Herman Ruth, known to the world as Babe Ruth, was the first sports superstar.